From the outside, you would never know that a patient with cystic fibrosis is dealing with a terminal illness. But take a trip on the inside, it's a totally different story.
My name's Myfanwy Mitchell. I'm 17 and I'm a patient with cystic fibrosis.
Could you tell? No? I didn't think so. I'm going to give it to you guys straight. Growing up with cystic fibrosis was hard. Yes, having to do so many treatments all the time is difficult. Pills, inhalers, special diets, all very annoying. Not to mention getting sick easily and often. And yes, I missed out on a lot. But then there's something else that makes it hard living with a physical disease. Trying to hide it and seem normal.
When I was younger, to me, CF wasn't actually that big of a deal. It didn't become a struggle in my life until I became more of a teenager. So around the ages of 14 and up, that's when it started to get difficult. So before that, it was just a disease that made me have to take pills for my digestion and do physio twice a day. But other than that, I didn't really take it in.
I'm Dr. Neil Sweezy. I look after patients at the Hospital for Sick Children who have any kind of lung disease. Cystic fibrosis is an inherited disease. It affects many parts of the body, but mostly any part of the body where there is a tube and there's some secretions that might go through the tube. So it affects the lungs, also infects the digestive tract, and it can affect many other parts of the body too, but these are probably the two most important parts. Well, I mean, the worst part is simply that you can be sick, and so a patient with cystic fibrosis can often have lung infections, and being sick with a lung infection is no fun. We try to stay ahead of the game, which is to do as much prevention as we can, as well as treatments.
So what we do is different forms of airway clearance techniques. When patients are young, they would use a technique called modified postural drainage and percussion. This uses the effect of gravity and places them into different positions to help drain the secretions, and by adding a little bit of tapping to dislodge the mucus. This helps move the mucus to the upper airways to cough and spit out. And then there are other techniques such as oscillating expiratory positive pressure. Here we have the TheraPep. It uses positive pressure to really open up the airways. Remember when I said I try hiding it? Well, turns out I'm really good at it.
To be honest, I don't really remember that Myfanwy has cystic fibrosis unless she gets sick. Then I'm like, oh, crap. She still does the same things with us that we all do. Like, she still comes out with us. We still hang out on weekends and do whatever. She still goes to school. No, for the most part, no, I can't tell.
As normal as you want to seem, the truth has to come out eventually.
When did you find out that Myfanwy Mitchell had cystic fibrosis?
I think it was in grade 9, first semester. It was the first time she got admitted to the hospital. And I remember one day she didn't come to math class, and everyone was like, oh, like, Myfanwy's sick, and I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, oh, she's sick, like, hope you're okay, like, but then, like, I messaged her just to, like, see how she was doing, and then she was like, oh, I'm in the hospital, and, like, I have, like, a lung disease, and I was like, what? Like, you have a lung disease? And she was like, yeah, like, cystic fibrosis, and, like, I went home and, like, did all my research, and then I was like, okay, I'm an expert now, I know what CF is. And so I didn't really, like, treat her differently, but I don't know. It didn't really, like, affect our friendship at all.
Living with cystic fibrosis can be very difficult. but with the right support system, going through life can be much easier. See how the story on the inside is totally different from the story on the outside?